What happens when a country with a past full of pain and shared struggles welcomes a royal family? In this video, we'll be discussing King Charles's recent visit to Kenya, a trip that stirred both admiration and controversy. From grand ceremonial greetings to private meetings with Kenya's leaders, the royal visit marked a historic moment in diplomatic relations, and also explore why a pivotal apology remained just out of reach. Royal visit: King Charles and Queen Camilla's first Commonwealth trip since reign. Queen Camilla and King Charles set out on a historic trip to Kenya. It was their first trip to a Commonwealth country since the start of His Majesty's rule, and it was a stunning show of diplomatic skill and royal glamour. On Tuesday, October 31, 2023, the King and Queen of the United Kingdom visited the beautiful country of Kenya. This date will go down in the annals of royal history. A magnificent ceremonial greeting was prepared for the royal couple upon their arrival. The President and First Lady of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William and Rachel Ruto, graciously hosted this extraordinary meeting at State House in Nairobi. A royal salute was given, as is customary, to set the tone for the stately proceedings that were to follow. The highlight of the trip was the private meetings between the prominent visitors and Kenya's President and First Lady. It was a chance to honor Kenya's incredible 60 years of independence while also strengthening ties between the two countries. President William Ruto's invitation, which was resonant with friendship and diplomacy, highlighted the historic nature of this trip. This visit was a testament to the enduring friendship between nations and the power of diplomacy. Queen Camilla and King Charles's presence in Kenya left an indelible mark, strengthening the ties between the two nations and celebrating the rich history they share. It was a royal journey that will be remembered for years to come. A glimpse into their hectic schedule. The King and Queen of Kenya made the most of their hectic schedule to meet common Kenyans, which included stops in both Nairobi and Mombasa, gave them a platform to bring attention to issues close to their hearts. While in Nairobi, the future king devoted most of his time to the International Prince's Trust, an organization that works to develop the skills of young people. To bring his lofty vision in line with Kenya's hopes, he dove into youth empowerment resources. To better understand the environmental and conservation difficulties facing Kenya, the king visited a forest and Nairobi National Park, two of the country's most iconic natural landmarks. Queen Camilla also started her motivational adventure at the same time. The fact that she made it to a library in Nairobi shows how seriously she takes the issue of literacy in Kenya. In addition, as an example of compassion and solidarity, she gave to a charity that helps victims of sexual and gender-based abuse. King Charles and his entourage made their final stop of the tour at the Mombasa Memorial Cathedral. He came to this area in search of information about local initiatives to promote religious tolerance and safety, reiterating a timeless call for peace and togetherness. This royal tour of Kenya was more than a routine diplomatic visit. It was a moving celebration of international friendship and collaboration. With their departure from Kenya, King Charles and Queen Camilla left behind a legacy of kindness and purpose, a tribute to the efficacy of diplomacy and the unyielding will of the Commonwealth. If you want to learn more about the King's visit to Kenya, keep watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button for more content like this. Controversy surrounding the royal visit to Kenya. As King Charles and Queen Camilla's visit to Kenya unfolds in grandeur, there's a quieter conversation happening in the background. The controversy centers on something important from the past: the Mau Mau Rebellion, which took place between 1952 and 1962. It was a challenging time, with tens of thousands of Kenyans losing their lives. The controversy stems from the fact that some people expected the king to apologize for what happened during that difficult period. However, no formal apology has been given. Instead, Buckingham Palace has stated that the king will acknowledge the more painful aspects of the UK and Kenya's shared history. This statement reflects a careful approach to addressing this sensitive issue. The Mau Mau Rebellion, Kenya's defiant stand against colonialism. Some events in history are so important that they change the course of countries and people's lives. Kenya's fight for freedom from British colonial rule included the Mau Mau Rebellion, which took place from 1952 to 1960. A fierce war broke out in the British Kenya colony between the Kenyaland and Freedom Army, KLFA, also known as the Mau Mau, and the British government. The Mau Mau rebels were mostly Kikuyu, who are Kenya's biggest ethnic group and number over 1 million. They were poor, and for many years, white settlers had been encroaching on their native lands, making their struggle even more difficult. Leaders of the Kenya African Union, KAU, like Jomo Kenyatta, had worked hard for political freedom and land changes before the Mau Mau Rebellion. In their plan, they wanted to give valuable land in the cooler highlands to people from Africa. However, extreme members of the KAU split into a new group that believed in a stronger form of nationalism. The Mau Mau Rebellion was the last act in the jarring music of colonial rule, which had 4 main parts. Denial. At first, the British government strongly refused that the Mau Mau Rebellion existed, not wanting to admit how unhappy people were in the colony. Containment. As the revolt got worse, the British tried to stop it by putting in place curfews, arresting a lot of people, and holding them without trial. Counterinsurgency. The British government began a full-scale military operation against the Mau Mau because they were a strong enemy. This was a brutal counterinsurgency effort. Political reform. The British government finally realized that just putting down the rebellion wasn't enough, so they made changes to the way politics worked to deal with the problems that led to the rebellion. They knew that something had to change. There were war crimes and massacres during the uprising. The British military operation cost £55 million and killed at least 11,000 Mau Mau and other forces. Shockingly, 1,090 people were put to death by hanging. As part of their divide and conquer strategy, British settlers used tactics that made people dislike each other during the revolt. Kenya's bond with the UK changed a lot because of the Mau Mau Rebellion. In the middle of the 20th century, this guerrilla operation matched a modern mobile army with an indigenous uprising that was bigger but had fewer resources. It was a major factor in Britain's choice to leave its colony in Kenya, which was a turning point in the country's history. When we look back, we can see that the Mau Mau Rebellion was a major event that helped Kenya become free from British rule. It was the end of years of political and economic pressure that disadvantaged groups had to deal with. Why King Charles refrains from apologies during controversial Kenya visit. King Charles has not publicly apologized for how he treated Kenyans during the Mau Mau uprising, which happened from 1952 to 1962 and killed tens of thousands of people. This was at the heart of the trouble. As many other groups did, the Kenya Human Rights Commission, KHRC, asked King Charles to make an unequivocal public apology. The committee said that during the British government's counterinsurgency, an unbelievable 90,000 Kenyans were killed, tortured, or hurt. But in the middle of all this trouble, Buckingham Palace said the king will acknowledge the more painful aspects of the UK and Kenya's shared history. Even though it wasn't an apology, this admission showed that someone was ready to face the past. Kenyan President William Ruto held a state dinner in honor of King Charles. At the event, King Charles gave an inspiring speech. He said he felt very bad about the wrongs he had done in the past and stressed that they caused him the most pain and sadness. The weight of his words went beyond simple bluster. The king said in his speech that the past was something that could not be changed. Still, he stressed how important it was to talk about the past openly and honestly. He hoped that this kind of action would show how strong the relationship is between the UK and Kenya right now and help it grow stronger in the years to come. As we conclude this captivating journey through King Charles's historic visit to Kenya, we invite you to share your thoughts. What do you think about the king's visit to Kenya? The mingling of history, diplomacy, and the weight of the past, how do you perceive it? We hope you enjoyed this exploration and gained fresh insights into this remarkable visit. If you found this video engaging, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel for more enlightening content like this. Thank you for joining us on this royal adventure.